So we've seen what the first 20 overs of cricket for the Royal Challengers Bangalore and Sharjah have produced. 194 for two with an AB de Villiers special, not for the first time in the IPL, not for the last. So it'll be fun looking back at that innings and trying to figure what kind of score that is on Whirlpool Presents ESPN Cricket 4020 Timeout, powered by Dell. Ian Bishop and Deepdas Gupta will give me everything that they've got on what they saw in those first 20 overs. So let's start with the obvious question. What kind of score is that now? 194.
Well, we'll know in about an hour and 45 minutes, won't we? It's hard to tell because for me, RK, it looked like an innings of two halves, really. It looked like the pitch was very slow early on. Certainly, based on the way Padikkal and Aaron Finch were struggling to get their timing right. I don't know if that was a true reflection of the pitch or just a reflection of the batters. And then AB de Villiers in that back half, because even Kohli struggled. What was Kohli's strike rate that he finished with? 113?
He's gone 33 of 28. He's effectively finished at a strike rate of 117.85.
And it just looked like AB de Villiers was batting on a different surface. So from that perspective, it's hard for me to say exactly the nature of the pitch. All I know is that I will say again, I really do feel that Kohli and de Villiers need to be batting one slot higher.
Okay, that's a conversation we can have. That is a conversation we can have. But what I want to know first is, Vish, I hear from guest after guest on this show, when you don't play international cricket year in, year out, as you get older, it just gets harder. Your game drops, your hands aren't as quick, all of that. AB de Villiers last played an international game. It was the end of March in 2018. Why does he not apply to those general theories that if you don't play international cricket, your game drops?
Because he's not the normal guy.
Okay.
He's not, I wouldn't say he's not human. He clearly is human. But you've got those geniuses. I remember one time Brian Lara didn't play first-class cricket for God, I can't remember how long, multitude of months and weeks. And he came in against South Africa at the Queen's Park Oval, I think it was, and got a big 170 or whatever, maybe off by a run or two. And those rules don't normally apply to those guys. So I don't think you can judge some of those guys by everyone else's standards.
Yeah, but what does it take to still be this good? He's nearing 37 now. He'll be 37 next February. And he carts premium international bowlers, some of them in their prime right now, Pat Cummins today and others in the past, and he cuts them around for fun. What does it take?
Genetics obviously is one factor in the sense that he's got hand-eye coordination that is perhaps absent from a Shane Watson to a high level or one or two other players. But you have to ask yourself as well, okay, AB has decided to retire from the international game. So is a lot of his focus now on how he prepares more specific to these tournaments. He wouldn't have had much time knowing the IPL was coming his way at a very late stage. I think it generally just speaks to his gifting, his physical attributes, and his hand-eye coordination. It's superior to many others.
Yeah, and in your view, if you decide not to play international cricket, does that in some way preserve your energy and make you better prepare for T20 franchise cricket? Or is it the other way around? If you don't play top flight cricket, it becomes harder in league cricket?
RK, I would say to you that we cannot go around with this one size fits all for everyone. Can I give you an example? I remember Curtly Ambrose and myself in the same team. And I was one of those people. I had to do my running. I had to do my preseason bowling. I had to do my strength work. And Curtly would just do nothing. And he would pitch up at the nets and run in and bowl a couple of overs. And he was quickly back into something approaching good rhythm. If I did that, it would take me months to get in. And I think the same applies to someone like a de Villiers or someone else. We cannot judge the Laras, the Richards, the de Villiers by normal people's standards.
All right. But let's think of whether we can think of bowling plans for AB de Villiers, right? That is something tend to work on. Now, everyone else seemed to struggle. So from what we saw today, would you have liked for the KKR bowlers to bowl any differently to AB to try and stop him in any way? Firstly, what kind of plan do you make when it comes to this is what we have to do for AB de Villiers to keep him quiet? And did it look like there was a plan and did it succeed?
Well, there's always a plan. I
Yeah.
don't think any team, I often hear commentators like myself say, well, there doesn't seem to be a plan. There's always a plan. It may not be a good plan, but
Yeah.
it's a plan nevertheless. So I remember talking to one or two guys who still playing against AB de Villiers, and they talk about how mentally draining it is bowling at AB de Villiers because it can't be, we will only bowl at this spot. And you know that. We've talked about Bumrah in that super over to de Villiers and what he tried to do bowling the short ball. So I think you've got to move it around. I still like full and wide as a limiting cause, but there has got to be the odd change up within that.
Yeah, we saw that one ball. I think it was Prasidh Krishna who bowled it. It was almost a good wide Yorker, and he's found a way to still get enough batnet to just scoop it for four. When you bowl according to plan, let's assume it was according to plan, Bish, and you have a man out, deep third man as well, and yet someone hits you for four. What do you tell yourself as a bowler? How can you still pick yourself up to know you've still done it right, but the guy's still good enough to hit you for four?
Yeah, but what is right?
Hmm.
Let's focus on what is right. You remember you're bowling to one of the greatest T20 batsmen, or generally one of the great players of the modern game. So what are you settling for?
Hmm.
A dot ball against Shane Watson or Devdutt Patigal batting at the same stage would be your ultimate goal. Maybe
Yeah.
you have to shift your acceptance. AB de Villiers, maybe it's gone for four, it didn't go for six. So maybe that is a good result. I've gone for 12 instead of going for 22. Maybe that is a good result. You're still going to go for runs, but at least with a guy set, you have to limit the damage.
All right. It was nice to finally get the answer to Andre Russell. How fit is he? Can he bowl four? And he bowled four. And he even bowled at this in the middle of the innings. He bowled the sixth, eighth, and then came back to bowl the last two. It's the second time he's bowled four this season, Bish, and it happens to be at Sharjah again. So are they reserving Andre Russell, the bowler, for when they desperately need the bowler the most when it comes to bowling at Sharjah?
No, I think they're reserving Andre Russell. When Andre Russell says, I can bowl more, then you
Okay.
bowl him more. Um, I don't think they can clearly say, Dre, you bowled well at Sharjah, so you're going to bowl four here again. No, it depends on how he wakes up in the morning. How do I feel today? We're in a desperate situation as well. We're on the same number of points at RCB coming into this game. We don't have Sunil Narine. Can you give us the extra effort today? And Dre would have said, yes, skipper, I can today. I don't know about tomorrow or next game, but we've had the conversation. Today I can do it for you.
All right, I've got another one for you. Now, this is on Pat Cummins, who I'm watching very closely. There's obviously going to be a lot
Yeah.
of chit chat, but I'm trying to keep Pat Cummins' price tag completely away from it. We know he's a quality bowler, and this is now the fifth time this season that he's gone wicketless. Does that come as a surprise to you that a bowler of his quality has gone wicketless as often as he has this tournament?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're going to stay away from the money. Just from a quality bowler's point of view and given his status in the world game,
Hmm.
I think before the last game, I think he had only gotten 2 wickets. So I can't remember how much he got in the previous game. So to go wicketless again, even given that it's Sharjah, you want your world-class bowler, and Cummins is world-class, very top of the tree in the other format. You want him to make breakthroughs for you. However, if there, let's say there was a Narine there and he was bowling in a group and the result still turns out to be what you want because he's creating pressure, he's not getting wickets, but he's giving wickets to the other guys because of that pressure, then he's still doing a job.
Interesting. If I had to ask you to analyze Bumrah, Rabada, Cummins, I think you'd say those are the
Uh,
best. There's no Mitchell Stark this tournament. You see Bumrah, Rabada produce wicket-taking balls, find a way to give you a breakthrough. It doesn't happen for Cummins. Why is that? Is that down to the type of bowler that he is? Have you made an assessment on why Bumrah and Rabada seem to be more natural wicket takers than a Pat Cummins?
yeah. Again, we forget the price tag. That
Yeah,
means nothing to us who watch the game. That's for the fans, right?
yeah.
If I were to put those three of them on the totem pole,
Hmm.
I would say that both Rabada and Jasprit are above Pat Cummins on the T20
Sure.
totem pole.
Yeah,
If you're talking Test cricket, then you have a different conversation. So
sure.
while Cummins is not a bad T20 bowler, you still have to, based on performance, put Rabada and Bumrah above him in T20 cricket. And it's simply perhaps because Bumrah and Rabada have found a way, whether it's Yorkers for Bumrah or back of a length and Yorkers for Kahiso Rabada. They found a specialist delivery and way of performing, whereas Cummins, back of a length, back of a length, maybe doesn't have as much range.
All right, range one thing. The other thing I will ask you is if you have to analyze the bowling attacks that they form part of. Cummins seems to lead a relatively young bunch of Indian pacers for Kolkata. For Bumrah, he's got Pattinson, he's got Trent Bolt. Trent Bolt's another example of someone who's managed to get wickets, even though there are questions on whether he's as effective in T20 as he is in other formats. Does that have anything to do with how impactful you are as a wicket taker, the bowlers that are around you in the bowling attack?
It could, in that if you feel, let's say you have an experienced attack, then with a Jasprit Bumrah who is in a strong attack, you can sort of manage the way you use him a little bit more. You can sprinkle him there, sprinkle him there, sprinkle him everywhere. With this young attack, they've chosen to use Cummins mostly in that power play and allow. Now, I think that's up for reform as we go along this season. Sure. I don't think it can be a one plan fits all. But you're absolutely right. The way that he will be used in this attack would perhaps be different to the other teams.
All right. Well, Chase just about getting underway now, and we can confirm that Tom Banton's walked out. So he's playing in his position as an opening bat. Shubman Gill's alongside him. So Rahul Tripathi would either come in or be pushed down. The question I would ask is the obvious one for KKR. When you have a target now of, 196, Vish, how many overs do you want to give Andre Russell? As many? Or do you want to reserve him for maximum impact if it's a 15, 16 and over at the end? How many overs would you give Russell?
The one thing I'd say, and the one criticism I have of teams that Andre Russell usually play in, which is like the Tallawahs at home and one or two others, is that they usually leave too much for him to do at the back end. His form isn't great this season, but they usually don't leave him. I think he'll float a little bit, but it really is up to the Bantons and the guys at the top. Deep will be happy that Banton is there and that Tripathi might be further down the order. He was absolutely right, but the top order has a big role to play.
Yep, they do. So I'll give you a bit of an assignment, Bish. Go to Deep's room and knock his door and see what's keeping him away from us. I have no idea when he will be with us at the end of this game. Ian Bishop, thank you very much. Get hold of Deep. Make sure he's all right. And we'll pick up this post-match chat on Whirlpool Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by Dell. It should be a cracker of a chase if KKR are to get it. And even if RCB are to defend it, it should be fun for a conversation at the end with Bish and Deep, hopefully.